Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Thread for creepy, paranormal, or unexplained stuff you witnessed as a kid. Particularly stuff that was impactful enough to shape the way you behave, or how you saw the world afterwards. Having such experiences so young kinda warps what you're willing to accept as real going forward. I'll start. 6 years old in the summer of 1999, my parents told me that I was allowed to dig in a certain portion of our house's yard along the side of the house. My best friend would come over every day after school, and we would dig with garden trowels for fun. He is crouched to my left, digging alongside me one day, and as I turned to speak to him, I saw a spiky black ball floating about 2.5 feet off the ground. It looked like a matte black sea urchin. The body portion was roughly basketball-sized, with approximately 1-foot-long spikes protruding in every direction. It did not have a metallic or reflective surface. My friend saw my eyes go wide, and he looked as well. It passes by us close enough that I could have reached out and touched it. It first floated past him, then past me, and through our wooden fence without breaking form whatsoever. It phased through like one would imagine a ghost walking through a solid object. Lastly, it turned around the corner to the front of the house, and I never saw it again. I asked my buddy if he saw that too. He describes the same thing I had seen. I almost wish I had not asked him first, because now I cannot write this off as my imagination. I recently found him online and asked him if he remembers the event, as it has been over 25 years. He does recall the event as I described, except he now remembers the object or entity as a purple blob and not as a spiky black ball. What was it?
Be 16-year-old me, 2004, a cold winter evening after rain. I want to smoke. It is already dark outside. Screw it, my soul demands a smoke. I am on top of that hill, in a pitch-black darkness, like every week before. Alone. I will not share my precious smokes with anybody. The city lights at the skyline are worth it. And it is the world's most boring neighborhood anyway. Ooh, yeah, baby, I needed those carcinogens. But then, I see a spark of light on top of another hill about 60 meters away. Wow, this place is really popular, hello fellow smoker. Why does that guy keep the lighter on for so long? What the fuck? He is running downhill with it. No, he threw the lighter down or something. It moves too fast and too smooth for a running man. Hey, what kind of lighter is this? It does not go off. Wait, there is a huge patch of dry reed in the way. It did not slow down. It goes further. And I do not hear a single sound from there. Fuck, wait. It is going uphill. Towards me. I had no intention to see who or what it is, and what intention does it have? I'm skeptical about a fire, like points of light traveling faster than a running man. I ran away as fast as I could. It's a really boring place, full of low vegetation and occasional hawthorns because of shitty soil. No strange things, no suicides, no World War II war casualties, no junkies or wannabe Satanists. Street lights are less than 2 minutes of quick march away. I didn't go there for 3 months since that evening, just in case.
I was almost 9. My mum bought a pink and yellow pair of these troll dolls at a garage sale. The old woman selling them said the pink one is haunted. We thought it was a joke, but there was an actual poltergeist attached to the thing. A month later, I was alone downstairs and watching a Shirley Temple movie on Nick at Night when the pink doll walked into the room and sat down cross-legged in front of the TV. All I could do was stay frozen in terror and trying not to make a sound. The doll sat there for hours until my mom barged into the room to give me shit about being up so late. Then it suddenly collapsed on the floor. I tried to explain the situation while she accused me of seeing things, but I have aphantasia, so I cannot see things. No one ever believed me. The doll is long gone, but we still have the poltergeist, and it causes trouble now and then. Bizarrely enough, 30 years later, to the month of the incident, my mum or someone bought a new one of those dolls, which I photographed for pic-related. I wanted to ask why, but our poltergeist is always listening, and probably would have viewed that as an invitation to start acting out again.
I've had two. Once when I was 10 or so, once about 4 years ago. Please tell me what they were if you know. At 10, I was walking upstairs in my house around 5 p.m. to go to my mom in her room. The stairs ran adjacent to my living room. As I walk up the stairs looking over the banister into the living room, I encounter a wolf made of gray smoke running in circles, right there 10 feet from me. It runs a few loops in a tight circle, then all of a sudden breaks the loop running into the wall opposite to me. When it hits the wall, it turns into a puff of blackish smoke that quickly fades. Looks exactly like you would see in a movie or something. It lasted about 10 to 20 seconds or so. I also remember not being afraid. I was a normally scared kid or spooky stuff. I just remembered being taken aback and maybe in a state of shock but not scared. When it disappeared, I ran straight to my mom. She remembers me telling her. The aberration was roughly the size of a medium dog. The second encounter, this one really confuses me. It's like it had some altering effect on my brain at the moment. Happened roughly 4 years ago, max. I used to fish on the pier in California a lot at night with my pier buddies for sharks. We'd sit out there all night very often. So one night around like 8 p.m. in the summer, we are all shooting the shit way down the end of the pier. I look down the pier towards the beach and see this thing floating 50 feet above the beach that looks like a 5-foot diameter flaming ball of fire, like a little sun practically. It's like hovering there in place. I was like, WTF, and you see performers on the beach in Southern California a lot. So my first thought was maybe it was like some kind of kite or something that somebody lit on fire, but there was definitely nobody down there flying it. It was well lit enough to see. Almost certainly nobody was there, and it was really weird looking. So I point this out to the group of teenagers I fish with, and they acknowledge it. And this is where it gets really weird because I notice myself undergoing a mental shift, and I think they are too. So one guy tells me something along the line of, yeah, it's just something they do, or, yeah, it just goes on here like that, and it made no sense. So I push back while losing my interest more and more, almost like I'm drunk or something, and losing interest in a way that shouldn't happen. I say that makes no sense and just look at it, and I remember the guy saying it was something very specific, but when it got to what exactly, it's like it was erased from my memory. I lost my sense of time while saving this, and the group really wanted to get back to chatting with each other and pay no mind the flaming orb. After what seemed like more than 3 minutes but less than 10 of asking and trying to decide what to do, I noticed the thing was now completely gone. It felt like I was cognitively fucked with 100% because that night I went home thinking about it a lot, and it was so recent, not something as a kid. This was truly bizarre. Nobody here has ever been able to identify it. It looked exactly like pick-related. I don't think it was St. Elmo's fire or ball lightning, but maybe...
My ex had a story much like this. She was driving home and saw a light in the sky. She said it looked like a second sun. She was on the phone with her friend at the time and starts describing it. When 2 fighter jets swoop in and either disappear into the light or fly off faster than she could follow. The light did a zigzag shuffle, then zoomed off over the horizon. As this was happening, she was describing it to her friend over the phone. As it came to an end, she slowed down talking, and her friend on the phone said she got real disengaged and distant. When she arrived at the friend's house, she did not remember the encounter until it was retold to her, and the memories flooded back. So they absolutely have the capability to alter consciousness at a distance. This could give them almost anti-mimetic cloaking. They make our brains literally not care nor remember.
Thanks for saying that. Yes, it felt like everyone's awareness plummeted after the initial viewing. And I didn't include this, but before I read what you wrote, I didn't even remember after it happened, like later that night after getting home. Otherwise, I would have asked those guys again what they said.
Be me, 6 years old, at school, first grade recess, small town in New Mexico. It is a windy day. It is always sunny in New Mexico. Teachers start calling students in from the playground. A dust devil mini tornado was seen nearby. I linger behind. I want to see the dust devil. I've seen enough PSAs on TV to know to get under something that cannot blow away. A solid steel truck on the playground has a flat truck bed, and I slide under it while the sand blows violently. The sky goes beige, then gray. The wind picks up harder. I'm beginning to get annoyed at seeing no dust devil. I decide to get out and go back inside the school. I start to wriggle out from under the playground truck in the sandy wind and notice a shiny glimmer out of the corner of my eye. I am still half under the truck. I turn to look and see an adult-sized human shape made out of TV static standing calmly, casually, between me and the school. It speaks to me. I can hear it as if it was right next to my head or inside my head, despite the wind and noise. You will always be alone. I blink as the words hit me and my internal voice says, "Nah-ah." As soon as I blinked, this thing was gone, teleported or winked out of existence. I pull myself out from under the truck, not caring about the wind or the sand or dust, and walk back to the school, slowly processing what this static man said. I begin to feel depressed before I make it to the school door. A teacher or hall monitor at the door is saying something to me, but I do not care. I go to class and realize none of these kids are my friends. My parents are military. I get an education at 3 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, and 3 high schools. No friends. I go to college and join clubs, actively seek out social situations, banged a few thoughts, no friends. I get a job unrelated to my degree, still in the field, still very good at what I do, no friends. I am 40 years old and I still curse that static TV man. I've seen UFOs too, but that will have to be its own Greentext, scene 12. Fuck dust devils.
Be me, 7-year-old boy in a family of 5. Dad, mom, and 2 older brothers. Living on Reunion Island, a French overseas territory east of Madagascar. Many occurrences of animal sacrifice locally over the years. A cultural thing, so we kids do not think much of it. Sometimes weird things happen. Human-made tracks, bizarre puppet-like thingies hung to our front yard bushes. One day, a dark chicken inside our mailbox. I am more worried about my parents' reaction than the actual discovery, though. One night, I wake up to my parents talking in the kitchen. I get out of bed to join them, feeling like I need a big family hug. On the way to the kitchen, I felt very weird, feeling big, like several kilometers long, big. I don't know how to express this other than my limbs are so long that it takes seconds for them to obey my brain. I remember vividly watching them from the kitchen door, having some kind of whispering argument against the window. They were constantly looking at the neighbors, about 200 meters away, visibly worried. Eventually they noticed me. Jumpscareofhell.jpg. Why are you not sleeping? My mom comes to grab me. She stops after a few steps. Why are you doing this? I realize my mouth is uncontrollably gnawing at nothing. Opening, closing, but empty. Just the sound of my teeth colliding. It stops as soon as I realize. And why are you like that? I did not know what they meant. I just waited for something to happen. They looked at each other. My mom then caught me and put me back to sleep. The next day, they tried to talk about this. They kept asking me questions and looked at each other when I answered. From that night on, I had very frequent nightmares. I only remember ill-formed animals crying, yelling, suffering in general. Some nights I would wake up standing in front of my parents, yelling at me in random parts of the house. I never knew how I got there in the first place. They asked me why I was just standing there, with my body twisted, my mouth gnawing or smiling exaggeratedly, against the living room couch or their bedroom bed. I never gave any answer. Everyone in my family started to worry. One night, I woke up to my mom looking at me, with the lights on, in my bedroom. She had a horrified look on her face. But most of all, I remember the dozens of people all around her, of all kinds and colors, vividly staring at me. Why are all these people looking at me? I see my mom looking around her. What are you talking about? She grabs my hand, takes me out of bed, and makes me take a shower. Then one night, I wake up to my big brother yelling, "He is here." I was outside in the backyard, looking at our neighbor's house burning. Everyone gathered, a big family hug. I remember clearly the fire being the most satisfying thing that night. The nightmares instantly stopped. The sleepwalking instantly stopped. The voodoo shit around the house instantly disappeared. Life instantly came back to normal. Mom doesn't like to talk about this, but she's 100% sure the neighbors and my nightmares and sleepwalking were related. No one really knows what happened, though.
Just a weird experience. I'm in bed at night. A car drives by my house. See their lights light up the closed window and the lights fade away as they drive off. Another car drives by. Same thing. Then the window slowly lights up, as if a car is coming by, but the lights never go away. I look out the window and nothing is there. It's just brighter.
I had almost an exact same experience, but I wasn't a kid. I was probably in my late 20s. My bedroom has 2 windows, one to my left and one behind me. The one to my left is pretty big, like a 4-foot by 5-foot rectangle, and the other is a bay window, 5-sided kind. I do not have curtains up, just horizontal blinds. My house is on a hill, so any cars coming down light up the left window at night. I do not have any lights on in the room, except a small lamp and my monitor, so it is pretty dark. One night, the left window lights up as if someone is shining a spotlight at it. Then the window behind me lights up too. The bay window never gets lit up because of the layout. This is the only time it has happened. The room is super bright, as if I have switched the light on. I get up and look out the bay window. The lights disappear and the room goes back to darkness. There is nothing at all in the street that could have made it. Only time it's happened, and it was weird. It was around the same time, not to the hour, more like days apart, where I made this odd sort of recording. I've mentioned it on /x/before and posted it. I won't bore anyone with it again. It's really hard to hear, and I can only really pinpoint it because I know what I'm listening for. It was this strange sort of humming, hovering noise, but not like a helicopter. It sounded like it was right outside, but I couldn't see anything. Must have been there at least an hour, but I only recorded like 4 minutes of it. It absolutely pissed down with rain, so it's even harder to hear. A car drives past and you can tell the difference, so it wasn't a car. It definitely wasn't a helicopter. I live on a main flight path, but it was no plane I've ever heard before. Not that low or staying in the same spot either. It wasn't AC, because no one has that here. I don't know what it was, but that was weird too. Starts about 5 seconds in, but the wind and rain make it harder to hear. Sounds like it goes away, then comes back at around 26 seconds, disappears almost entirely at 57 seconds. Then comes back loudly for the last couple of seconds. That was at 3:53 a.m. It's in the background here for almost all of it, but it's low and hard to hear. A car passes at 28 seconds, and then one the other way around, 34 seconds, then maybe one or two again after that. You can hear it better at around 48 seconds, then quite clear at 57 seconds, where it seems like it's getting closer, then at 1:01 it's gone. That was at 4:08 a.m. You can hear it really loud at the start, then it seems to get quieter and louder on and off. It's throughout the whole of that one, it's just at time it's really hard to hear. That was 4:15 a.m. I say it lasted over an hour. Looking back, it would have comfortably been at least 2 hours. You know when there's background noise and you suddenly take notice of it when it's been there ages. That's exactly what it was like.
How strange. It almost sounds electrical. Maybe it could be coming from a power line nearby or an electrical transformer.
That's what I mean. It's like it's similar to so many things, but different enough that you know it isn't those. The nearest power lines, like the kind of significant size that make noise, are about 2.5 miles away where my friend lives. The nearest transformer is around there too. We tend to have these smaller substations dotted about, but they're usually in cute little brick buildings and don't seem to generate much noise. Nearest one of those is about a mile away. There's not really much of anything here other than generic houses and a few shops. I've looked about trying to see what would cause it, but there's just nothing. Like I say, it's hard to hear on the recording, but in real life it was much louder.
Hey, someone else noticed. I've heard these all my life, and noticed very few people can hear them in person. In fact, out of all the people I pointed out the noise to, only one other person I've ever met could hear it. Do you also hear the things higher up in the sky? It's like the sound of rushing wind, but so much larger, if that makes sense.
That was the first time I've heard it. I recorded it in 2019 and don't recall ever hearing it since, although I do wear headphones a lot. It's a bit funny you mention no one else being able to hear it, because when I was recording it, despite it being loud, I did wonder if it would be picked up in the recording. I haven't heard the other noise you mentioned, though. Not to my knowledge, at least. But I'll keep an ear out for it. What really puzzled me was the way it seemed to move vertically away, rather than in a loop, and the way it would come back. Like if a car was going around a circuit, and you sat in one place, you would hear the car get louder as it approached, and get quieter as it moved away, with it being loudest while it passed you. But this was more like you heard it get quieter as it moved away, and then it was just suddenly back at its loudest. There was no gradual increase as it got closer again. Rather than a circuit, it was more like a vertical straight track with a wormhole at the end, is the only way I can describe it. So if you went flat out and reached the end, you would come back out where you started, still going flat out. I'll get to the bottom of it one day.
So, I had two experiences as a kid. Me about 10 years old, playing with the dog on the backyard. Randomly looked to the ground. There is a shadow perfectly round centered on me. Move a bit, and the shadow with a delay catches up to me. Look up, and there is nothing but the blue sky, not a single cloud in sight. Look down again. The shadow starts getting smaller. Run inside the house crying like there is no tomorrow. Fast forward a few months later. Get on the bike to go buy some groceries for my dad. On the road to the supermarket, there is a mostly abandoned football field. Remember vividly looking at it on the way in and noticing it was really dark in there, even with the lamppost light being not even 10 meters away. Still, I keep going along, buy the groceries. On the way back, I look into the field again. Weird lights in a circular pattern in the middle of it. Looked around to see if anybody else was also seeing this shit. Everything is dead quiet. No cars, no people, no sounds. Every house had its lights off. I look back at the field again. The lights suddenly all go dark. I tried to pedal as fast as I could in panic. The bike chains literally break in half. I abandon the bike and start running back home. When I got home, the bike was already there, with the chain intact, as if I never used it today. My dad did not believe me at all.
12-year-old me. I befriend a guy on RuneScape from the same country. We talk every day for months and bing chilling. Summer holidays are coming up and I travel 5 hours by train alone. I arrive at his house. It is not bad, but slightly old. He mentioned that it was built on top of or close to a World War II bunker. We are having a good time. He is the same age as me, and we are just playing RuneScape all day. I stay there for like a week, Lon just gaming, eating food and chilling. We are sitting in his room on the second story gaming, his parents sleeping downstairs. The second night there, we hear footsteps over us in the attic. I go, "What the fuck, .jpg," and he kinda brushes it off. I ask him to try and dig more into it. He mentions he has been playing with a Ouija board, etc., and sitting on the floor drawing anagrams or salt circles, etc., to communicate with spirits. I am like, what the fuck, that is scary. But I was intrigued, so tell me more, bro. He does not really want to elaborate too much, so whatever. One night at around 3 a.m., we went to the kitchen to get some food. Also on the second floor, in the middle of summer, like 18 Celsius normal temperature. All of a sudden, we feel the coldest and evil breeze ever from nowhere. We both look at each other instantly like we knew this was bad, dropping our food and sprinting back into his room. We keep hearing footsteps from the attic over his room multiple nights, It literally starts putting me on edge so much, and he says, "We can go check it if I want." We go upstairs, and there is nothing there, no window or anything even. Like the fifth night in, maybe 1 a.m., we are in the living room watching TV. I fall asleep. I wake up in the morning still on the couch, alone, and it is insanely quiet. Out of nowhere, I both hear and feel the loudest breath ever, right into my neck. I 180 turned instantly in panic and see nothing. No windows open, no fans, literally nothing to explain it. The week goes by and I travel home. I tell my parents about my good time there and the paranormal stuff. They are conservative Christians and say he was satanic. They never let me contact him ever again. 17 years ago now, and I'll never forget it.
I had two experiences, both of which were explainable but nonetheless weird. B, 10 years old. Loved to hang out and game in the basement since our family PC was there. The basement has these small horizontal windows at the top that you can look out and see the side of the house, but at like foot or leg height. One night, late at night, be doing some gaming. I start to feel watched. I do not look out the window at first for the same reason I do not like to look at mirrors at night, just in case my reflection ever does something I don't do keck. I eventually cave and look out anyway. Something stares back with a face that looks warped and burnt. I immediately look away and back at the computer. I pretend I did not notice. I shut down the game and PC as casually as I can manage. I feel watched the entire time. As soon as the PC is shut down, I immediately bolt upstairs. I never game late at night again. I'm thinking it could have been someone playing a prank with a mask, but you'd think they would have made a sound or something to make me look, instead of just sitting there and staring. And if it was a mask, it would have been a very creative one. My brother had a pretty decent demon mask that looks like pick-related, but it would still have looked like a mask to me. Be 13 or 14 years old. My bed suddenly starts shaking at night, pretty much every night. It wakes me up and then stops when I'm fully awake. I tell my parents they think it might be sleep paralysis. But I had sleep paralysis before, and it was nothing like this. It continues to happen. I start to become afraid of falling asleep. I decided to just sleep through it one night. The shaking just gets more insistent until I'm fully awake again. Another night, I decided to invoke the name of Jesus Christ, cross myself, and tell it to go away. I might have grabbed a Bible as well, but I don't remember. The worst shaking of my life then stops with a loud bang and wakes me up. I don't go back to sleep till like 2 hours later out of fear. It never happened again.
Good thread. Enjoy the stories. I have a couple to contribute. I will try to make them brief due to the text limit. If you want to know more, I will try and answer any questions. I am about 10. My family had a pretty big house to accommodate a lot of people. Me, my 2 siblings, my mom, my aunt, my grandfather, grandmother, deceased, great uncle, and great aunt. They moved her to a home later on. It always felt off in the house. I hear things calling my name from the closet. The closet was like very wide open, and it seemed to have a crawl space that went into the attic that no one ever went into. This plus a few other experiences spooked me. I would always have to sleep with someone else. I sleep in my grandfather's room one night. He is very religious Catholic. Effigies of the Trinity everywhere, Bibles, books, etc. For some reason, I wake up. My eyes adjust, and I can make out the objects in the room. For some reason, I am drawn to the closet. I sit up and look in the closet. It is pitch black, a void of blackness. There are two red eyes staring out at me. I freak out, adrenaline dump. I lay back down, shut my eyes. I pretend I did not see it. I finally fall asleep after what felt like hours. This one happened before the one above. I am sleeping in my mother's room. I wake up. Waking up woke my mother up. She asked me what is wrong. I told her Grandma said goodbye. The next day, my grandma never came out of her room. She is usually up early making breakfast, etc. Eventually, they go in there, and she was dead. Something with her heart gave out. My mom and her sisters also grew up in the same house and have told me about experiences they've had.
7 years old. Watch my dad murder my mom. He tells me to keep my fucking mouth shut and that she deserved it, that God told him to end her life. He drags her out of the house. I hide under my bed for the next few hours, crying and losing my shit. Anon, come down, dinner's ready, and bring your father too. What the fuck, web him. Tiptoe out of my room and see my dad creeping out of his. We both sit at the table, confused. She serves us a meal. She looks just fine. She sounds just fine. She is just fine. Glance at my father, and he has no idea what is happening. Glance at my mother, and she does the shush gesture. Nobody ever mentions it again. They separated and are doing just fine. For all intents and purposes, my mom is healthy and in a good spot. My dad is a raging alcoholic and always under the influence of whatever drug he can get. She died. She was murdered. I watched her die. I still don't know what happened.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.